Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Board Game Smorgasbord. I am Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia.
I'm Mike DeLisio.
And welcome to a show about board games and the people who play them, and sometimes food, but not today.
Not today. I think we steered clear of the food today.
We'll be back. We'll be back to food topics soon.
Food is
Thanksgiving's coming.
Oh.
Thanksgiving's coming. The holidays at the end of the year, Christmas, whatnot, that's coming. Food is certainly a part of the conversation when those days, those happy days come around.
My top 3 ways to cook a turkey. Fry, fry, fry.
You like the deep fried turkey?
Deep fried, yeah.
You've not had that yet, have you?
I don't think I think I've had it once, but I don't think I was there like the day it was being made.
He doesn't like.
I don't like turkey at all. Actually, it's one of my least favorite meats.
Okay.
I will have a bit of that deep fried turkey.
Okay.
That's pretty legit, as the kids say.
You also inject it full of.
Yeah, with stuff,
you put
right?
various things like liquefied jelly beans and whatnot. It's amazing.
It's perfectly healthy.
I'm sure it's good for
I'm
you.
injecting straight butter into sometimes. I'll do Cajun. I've done barbecue sauce.
Cake?
Not cake.
Cajun.
That's what Camilla does. She brings that.
Cake into the turkey.
Cake turkey.
All right. Anyhow. Hey, this show is brought to you by Bezier Games. They've designed, made many games, including Sink or Swim here in the background. That's a co-op party game that you and your teammates are diving in the race against the clock to sync up as fast as possible. I'd like to point out that synchronized swimming is my least favorite sport, if only for the reason that it bothers me that I can't do even a handstand in the pool.
Have you? But one of my favorite old SNL sketches is Christopher Guest and Martin Short doing the synchronized swimming. There's a fantastic skit. If you haven't seen it, you need to see that.
All right. Well, we have
really
a contest from them, too. This is for Werewords Deluxe Edition. This is one copy here. All you need to do to enter to get the copy of Werewords Deluxe is email us at contest@dicetower.com. In the subject line, put the word hidden. But in the body, you need to do 2 things. 1, give us your address so we know where to send it.
Got to have the address.
2, answer this question. How many double-side yes or no tokens are in Werewords Deluxe Edition? It's the same, this is a hint, as regular Werewords.
Double-sided,
I know
yes
neither
or no.
of those answers. Yes or no tokens.
Well, they're the same answer.
Probably something to do with the number of players in the game. You could try to guess, but I would just go look it up, honestly.
Look it up. You want to be sure. Don't mess around with how you make a turkey. That's what I've always been told.
Anyway, thank you, everybody, for watching this show. We got a couple things to mention. First of all, if you missed it, registration for Dice Tower East is live, as is Dice Tower West. East just went live, though. The hotel block is quickly selling out, so don't goof around on that.
No.
Dice Tower Cruise is down to, I think, 16 rooms. And Dice Tower West registration's live. Also, if you'd like to get some swag.
Oh.
DicetowerStore.com.
Yeah, that's right. We're looking there at shirts. People have been asking for various shirts and stuff. We're going to add and subtract stuff from that as time goes by.
Keep an eye there.
But for now, what's there is there. We'll add more things. And if you are part of our Kickstarter, we're shipping soon. And if you haven't filled out your Game Found Pledge Manager, do so now. Pause this live show and do it because it closes next week. I think, did I get all the announcements? I always feel like I forget something.
Cruise, West, East, Pledge Manager.
Contest.
Get on that Pledge Manager.
Oh, yeah, there's a big contest going on our channel right now for a bag full of games. It's the main video on our channel. You can find that. And that contest will come in PAX Unplugged, which we will be at. I believe the tickets have been bought. We have our lodging.
The walking shoes have been procured.
Yes.
We're prepared for the food.
Turkey.
Let's see if the weather cooperates.
After Board Game Smorgasbord.
I hope there's a cold snap that breaks me down the middle. I need a break from the heat. Okay?
You want ice?
It's pretty warm here in Florida.
I know.
It is November.
Enough, okay.
And it's hitting
Give me some cold. I mean, we
80s
went
every
to
day.
Germany, and they were like, it's kind of tepid. I'm like, no, okay? I want it to be cold.
I would like to say that is a Z only thing.
This is a Z thing, yeah.
I'm perfectly happy with tepid weather.
No.
All right, let's move on. Not a lot of news this week here, folks,
No.
just because, well, most of the news has been announced. There's no more news. The news is out.
Everything has happened.
There
that's
are
going to
peaks and
happen.
valleys with the news.
We could follow like media news, and our news would just basically be me saying how much I disliked other media. That would be like if we followed the main thing. I'd be main commenter from Watch It Played says he's leaving gaming. Just kidding. Anyhow.
Fake news.
Yeah, fake news or just like snarky news.
News.
Rodney Smith caught wearing flannel shirt. Stupid stuff.
No one would believe that. Come on.
No, I don't think so.
Anyhow, but
I
here's
bet he
real
has
news.
good weather, though, I'll tell you that. I bet it's cold. Let's talk about cold.
See, when we open up our Canadian brand.
I was
I'm
gonna
there.
say.
I want to run. I want to headquarter that.
For someone that hates the heat as much, you're not living in the correct area. I'm just saying. I mean, there are plenty of places with frigid, disgustingly cold and miserable weather that you could.
I don't want to live there. I want to go there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you want to visit.
I
I
want to go
get
for
that.
a week. Be like, oh my goodness, it's so good. And then I enjoy that, and I enjoy the return where I can go outside, and I'm like, oh, a single layer. Oh, it's wonderful. That it's a reminder to appreciate the heat, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
You might be wondering where the news is. Here we go.
I'm still wondering.
Huh. Okay.
This is a Coyote Crow dice game. Is it Nazi? Nazi?
Nasi.
So this is the same mythology as there was another game not too long ago with a really shiny that they made that really like foiled game.
Yes.
That I think uses the same mythology.
Right. What? I can't remember what it was called.
Well, either way, this
Yeah.
is based on a role-playing game called Coyote and Crow.
Okay.
But this is a dice game here. It focuses on indigenous culture. And it's a push your luck game where you roll 12-sided dice to create sets and runs of numbers. I'm
Okay.
assuming you like this look a lot.
I do.
Yeah.
This is a cool looking box. Neat name,
I
cool
agree.
look.
Yeah, it's a good looking thing. And push your luck dice games. I mean, there's a lot of them out there, but I tend to like them.
12-sided dice, so that's
I like
interesting.
12-sided dice. All right, our next piece of news here is for Mike, and that is the Hello Kitty Loteria. This is from the Op. So,
I'm gonna guess Loteria.
Loteria. You know what? There's a fast food restaurant in Korea called Loteria or whatever, Loteria, whatever it's called. That is essentially the main, it's their McDonald's. I mean, McDonald's is there too, but this is the Korean version.
Okay.
It's better than McDonald's in Korea.
I
Anyway,
would not be surprised by that.
big shocker. It's better.
But yeah, this is like lottery is what that is. So
Yeah, this
it
is,
looks like a bingo-esque kind of
well,
thing.
actually,
there you go, yeah.
It is a variation of the traditional Mexican game of chance, Loteria, which is often called Mexican bingo.
Okay.
Yeah, like I'm familiar with Mexican dominoes.
Sure.
But I've never heard of Mexican bingo before. So this must be like a, like they said, a traditional game that they're just theming in the Hello Kitty,
But I want to
theme.
know how this, like in the ops, idea room.
Yeah, yeah.
Some guy's like, we need to make a Hello Kitty game, and just then a guy walks through the door and goes, you know what, guys, we should make a Mexican bingo game, and they're like, done.
Yeah, there
No,
you go.
I
And the Hello Kitty guy's like, no, that's not what I meant. They're like, too late. You guys were like next to each other.
These two things happened at the same time. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know how these two things. Why put these together? I'm not sure.
Hello Kitty, though, is still immensely popular.
It is immensely popular, but they could have done a like Hello Kitty Day of the Dead look meets Loteria. You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
I just don't get where's the crossover here. I don't get why this.
Well, it's similar.
game.
It's similar to the Pokemon point salad, right? I mean, it's just like.
You're right. I mean,
You know?
yeah. It looks cute enough. I mean, I'm not a big Hello Kitty fan, but if you are, this is probably going to be a neat game for you.
I would assume that if it's like a traditional game, it's probably very simple, very rules light, and maybe that fits with an IP like this.
Sure,
you know what
yeah.
I mean?
Very chance heavy,
Yeah,
I assume.
right.
All right. The next game is called Fork, which it's too late. We showed this to everyone. I should have said, guess what fork is.
Right.
If the first word is fox, what do you think the other ones are? And I'm pretty sure you might guess owl.
Or octopus.
You might even guess rabbit.
Right. A kale?
You're not guessing kale as the
No.
fourth one.
Yeah.
So I think this is fox eats owl, owl eats rabbit,
Right.
rabbit eats kale.
Right. It's a food chain thing.
I was thinking, humans eat kale and rabbit. We don't eat owls and
Humans
foxes,
eat kale? Not in my house.
No,
That's
yeah,
not true.
kale
That's
is
not true.
terrible.
There's a bag of kale in the fridge right now.
No, but it's not my bag of kale. I can
It's
tell you that.
mine.
I know. You've been eating very healthy lately. You've been.
Yeah, that kale is one of those things where I'm like, it's not as bad as people said it
No,
was.
no, no. I'm sorry. No. There's eating healthy and there's having basic self-respect.
I would tell
You've
you
gone
this,
too
though.
far.
I would-
There's also lettuce. You don't need to eat kale.
I'm using both.
Lettuce is water. Kale actually has some like nutritional value. I don't like eating kale. I find it bitter. However, I have found that if you stick it in
The
a
trash.
blender with other things that actually taste better, like fruits and
No.
things like that, in a smoothie, it's not bad.
See,
I've had kale in a
I don't
smoothie
like
and it's
it.
not bad.
I like kale in salads because it matches the salad. Like, no.
Matches the color and maybe the texture.
No, it matches the texture, and the
Doesn't
taste
match
is
the-
not that far up. But I'll tell you what, it doesn't match delicious fruit. Okay?
does not.
Whenever I see a smoothie and they put kale in it, I feel like that's just a...
Ruined fruit.
The fruit masks the flavor of the kale. See, we weren't going to talk about food today, folks. The fruit.
Anyway, this is a trick-taking game.
right,
It's coming
goodness.
from Tate Wu, Sunrise Tornado Game Studio. It has 4 suits and numbered cards. With the suits are obviously Fox, Owl, Rabbit, Kale.
Right.
One person leads a trick. Everyone else follows the trick, but except for foxes, because foxes are wild. Kales are played face up. Everything else is face down.
Oh, interesting.
The highest number takes a trick. Foxes can take owls. If the owl survives, takes a rabbit, and so on and so forth. The goal is to score the most animals. It's going to crowdfunding.
I think this is an older game
January,
that is maybe being redone.
It definitely sounds
Yeah.
like a esoteric trick-taking game, but I'm in it. I'm in it.
I would definitely play it. There's a lot of these kind of riffs on trick taking going around, and some of them work better than others for me.
Yeah.
But I'm interested.
I think it's so funny. You were talking about peaks and valleys a little while ago. Trick-taking games are riding a serious peak right now. I remember when, I don't know how long ago it was, 80 years ago or something. You couldn't sell a trick-taking game
Right.
if you filled it with gold bars. It was just a dead genre. Like, nobody would publish a
And
trick-taking
some really
game.
good ones came out and died on the vine, like
Died.
Diamonds.
Yeah,
things like that.
absolutely. And
Diamonds
now
is
it's
good.
like, it's a huge genre. It's so weird to me.
It's also being used as a mechanic to drive bigger games like Brian Baru and things like that. Like it's really in vogue right now.
In vogue is a good way to put it. Yeah.
You know what else is in vogue? Our next game. It's called You Lying Sack.
Yeah, it's not in vogue. You're lying.
This is from the Exploding Kittens team. I know that's a big surprise there. And they're teaming up with magician Penn Jillette from the duo Penn and Teller, which you can see if you come to Dice Tower West.
That's right. At the Rio.
We often get discounts on the tickets there, too, to see them. They're right. It's like literally
It's
2 minutes
feet
away from the convention.
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, right.
You just go around the corner.
Yeah. Now this game obviously is going for a particular market, kind of the Exploding Kittens market, which is a huge market, first of all. But I think it was essential that they got the look of the sack right. And I gotta tell you, they knocked it out of the park. That is a very, very enticing sack right there.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the game here. I don't know what Mike is talking about.
That's a good look.
You are essentially in this game offering someone something and they have to accept it or not. It
Right.
sounds like a riff on cockroach poker, frankly.
Right.
Except it's called
You lying roach.
Sack, which is going to sell a lot of games.
Gonna sell a ton, yeah.
All right. Next, we have a new game coming out called Trio. This is a follow-up on Nana.
It's a new old. Yeah, so I guess Nana was the Japanese game, the original game, and now a French publisher is republishing
Called
it
Cocktail Games.
as Trio, right?
Yes.
Oh, those are beautiful cards.
Yeah, they really are nice looking. They
It
contrast
reminds
well
me
with the
of,
cat.
Mexican Loteria.
Is this another trick-taking game? It looks like it,
No,
right?
it says, okay, there's 36 cards. You have cards in your hand, and you sort them from low to high.
Yeah, they did that.
And then you choose a single card to reveal, either the low or high from a player's hand, including your own, or any face-down card from the table.
Okay.
And then do it again. If 2 cards are the same number, you keep going. It reminds, and so I guess there's a little memory in guess.
I'm out.
It also feels a little bit like Skull to some degree.
Yeah. Oh.
And if you
Oh, I
find
see,
3
I see.
numbers of the same, if you find 3 cards of the same number, you take them as a set in front of you. But it's not just memory. Since cards are ordered from smallest to
Right,
largest,
right,
you're also
right.
using logic. Okay, I just saw you play an 11. I know you don't have a 12 in your
Right,
hand.
exactly. Okay.
I would try it.
Oh, sure, I would try it. The memory part would probably...
It looks pretty. I like the look of the cards. I like
Correctly.
that new box. It's a really pretty box.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would definitely give this a go. I'm always interested in quirky little card games. So.
Companies are often very good about announcing things. Sometimes they do stuff secretly, and sometimes it makes no sense, and that's the case of this next one, Monolyth. This game is from CMON.
Yeah.
I heard nothing about this until it literally showed up in our doorstep. We've already played it. We're reviewing it next week, I think.
It's a Phil Walker Harding game from CMON that no one knew about. It's like, here you go. It's not a small box game either. It's a regular sized box with chunky plastic pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to finish levels of your Monolyth. You're building this either 4x4 or 4x3 or 4x4x4, depending on number of players. And you're finishing levels, putting colors on different sides. It's a very, very simple game.
It has a patchwork style, kind of mechanism for claiming tiles and claiming those things.
More coming in our review, but it's weird because it's very rare where we announce a game and then the week after we review that game.
Yeah, I agree.
As of a couple of days ago, this didn't have a BGG listing. I don't know if it's. I still don't know if it does.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's supposed to release in mid-November, so that's next week. Okay. All right, Catan. Z. It's about time for you to start reading again.
I agree.
You should read the novelization of Catan.
Well, it sounds very interesting. It begins set in Viking, in the old world, in the Viking nations. And it talks about these Viking lads who go out exploring. Seems very historically accurate. The year seems right. The location seems right. And then they end up arriving at this unknown island called Catan. And they settle that land.
It sounded... when you started this, I thought it was being sarcastic.
No, he's being serious.
But
I'm serious.
Yeah.
I know. I was flabbergasted when I read this description. Because it begins set in our world and at some point becomes a fantasy board game land. I was just kind of blown away by that.
And this is supposed to be the first of a trilogy of books, right?
Yes.
the next one's called Seafarers.
Yeah, that's right. He's going to go the George R.R. Martin route. You'll get the next one in 27 years.
We're almost at 12 years, Mr. Martin. Seriously.
Yeah, this is, what do you think, Tom? This sounds strange to me.
I wasn't interested until I read the description. Now I'm more interested, but still, that cover is... My word.
If only we knew somebody in the board gaming world that did audiobooks that can do an audiobook version of this. I might be interested.
As funny as it is, I never listen. I've only listened to one Eric Summer book, and I'm very that was not one I should have listened to. I did it for comedy purposes.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with audiobooks because I read so fast. Shut up. And it's hard for me to slow down. But every time I say this, you yell at me. Yeah.
I would never, Tom.
All right. This next cover, though, looks pretty cool. This is Unboxed, and this is also a book.
A nonfiction book.
A nonfiction book?
It doesn't look like a nonfiction thing, but it's board game experience and design. This is from MIT Press. Actually, this already came out.
Yeah.
It's from designer Gordon Kaleja.
Yeah, he did Vengeance, I believe. Mighty Boards, I think he works with.
Got it.
I'm pretty sure that
this is about designing a board game. I'll tell you, they lost me right away because the word board game is one word, not two words. I'm sorry, I'm a stickler for that. It's 2 words, board game.
That's also all not capitalized. You have a problem with that too?
A little bit.
That's a stylistic choice.
I'm choosing to think he's a big fan of E. Cummings.
Yeah.
Well, then maybe E. Cummings would have slammed 2 words together.
The letters would have been going diagonally across the page. But I do like that cover art. I like that image. But
I don't know. These books, I'm always curious, like, who's reading them? Like, and also... do they help? I don't know how. So if I'm going to design a board game, and I'm like, I would like some advice.
Right.
Somebody says, hey, play test it with people you don't know. Send it to. And I hear some good advice. I'm like, oh, that is a good idea. But I've yet to hear any designer say, hey, I read a book on board game design, and that's why I'm where I'm at today.
Yeah, I don't know. Now there's a couple of interesting things. And if I'm wrong, I apologize. But I thought that he was a professor. I think that might be his career, and if so, perhaps he teaches game design. I do know that there are, game design.
But this isn't about isn't about game design anyway.
Okay,
Well,
okay.
he says the last line here says, by tracing the process through which players experience these moments of rule-mediated, imagine-fueled sociality, Kaleha helps us understand the richness of the gameplay experience packed into a humble board game box. That's cool.
Yeah.
For me, I read that, and I don't know if the designer, the author intends it. It just sounds pretentious. I play a game for fun.
It sounds academic.
Yeah, academic
Yeah.
and pretentious. There's a line in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I could read it and be like, oh, this is interesting. I just wonder who it's for. It might be for other academics
It could be.
who look at board gaming as a children's experience.
That's a good point. You know, that could very well be, actually, yeah.
It could be getting into more of the sociological elements of gaming in general. There's a whole thing right now how gamification has become a bigger part of people's lives. And, who knows? I haven't read the book, obviously. But
Well, let's see what games he's designed, all his games. Wow, he really looks like the guy, Jeff Goldblum. Excavation Earth, Vengeance, you said, Post-Human Saga. He has 21 credits on Board Game Geek. And when I did a search for Google, though, for his name, the first thing that popped up was actually author.
Oh, interesting.
He did Unboxed Board Games, but in 2011, he did a book called In-Game From Immersion to Incorporation. And that was where he was talking about digital games.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. You might be right, Mike. He might indeed be a professor then.
Well, here's his bio. I am currently in...
It looks nothing like Jeff Goldblum in that picture.
Right.
No, he doesn't. Sorry. Okay. I'm currently an associate professor and director at the Institute of Digital Games at the University of Malta. Did he know Richard Ham?
I think Mighty Boards is based in Malta. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he knew.
Prior to founding the Institute of Digital Games, I was the director of the Center of Games Research at ITU for 5 years. I've also founded Mighty Box, a video game design studio, and Mighty Boards. I didn't even know Mighty Box existed.
I didn't either, honestly, yeah.
A board game design studio and publisher. So I didn't realize he's a publisher and designer.
Yeah.
Ew.
I didn't know Malta had a university. How about that?
We've learned a lot from that one
Why
paragraph.
would you not assume Malta would have a university, right?
No, I don't know.
Well, not every small island has a university.
U of M.
Don't act like you knew this stuff. What is this?
U of M.
All right.
All right. What do we got? What's next? What other book are we talking about today? Can we go back to food?
All right. So we have the Fairplay Results.
This isn't food.
The final results.
Final results from Fairplay. So Fairplay is a magazine in Germany, and they ask people at the Spiel Fair in Essen what their favorite games are, and they tell them, and then they publish a top 10. This is always going to be geared towards shorter games that you can actually play, or
That you
more
can
people
demo.
won't play.
Yeah.
You can demo any game there, but
Right.
fewer people are going to play Arc Nova than,
Right.
say, a short game.
Cat in the Box, which
also,
is the leading. Yeah.
how close you are to the Fairplay booth, you know?
That matters. Yeah, it
All
matters.
right, but anyway, number one
What do
here
we got?
is Cat in a Box.
Yes.
That
Good.
was definitely hot. Tribes of the
Fantastic.
Wind.
Yes.
Turing Machine. QE, which has been out in America for a while, but I think just hit Germany.
I believe that's correct, yeah.
Splendor Duel. Acropolis. I can't read the next one. But
Atiwa,
I think Atiwa. Oh, that's a new Uwe
Oh,
Rosenberg
yeah.
game. That's in that missing suitcase, which supposedly... No, don't clap till it's here. It's on its way.
Okay.
What do you mean? It's
As of this morning, there's
As of
update.
this morning, it has been found, and
Says it's on its way to Miami.
she may have pulled off a miracle.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Me
I'm
too.
beyond impressed. Somebody's getting a big kudos from me. Okay, all right. Atiwa, I should mention, by the way, breaks that trend that we're talking about where it's a lighter, close-by game.
Right.
Atiwa was neither one of those things to where Fairplay was located.
That's
and it's,
true.
Not light. So
That is true.
That's a feat in
But
and
it
of
is
itself.
Uwe, and Uwe carries a lot of weight.
Yeah. Where's Viking
Evergreen?
Seesaw in here, though? Because that's Knizia.
Viking Seesaw should
Well,
be
interestingly enough, Kites made the list.
Yeah, I am
I
surprised.
really feel
by
like I
that.
need to hunt down Kites and put it back in the library.
Well, Cat in a Box
Yeah.
was really interesting because really from what I understand, the only publisher that was supposed to be selling it there was Hobby Japan. And they had a very small supply, and when they ran out, I believe that then Bezier got permission to sell maybe 150 copies. I thought I read that, but I'm not
interesting,
positive. of that.
really? Okay.
Yeah.
Then there's a list of honorable mentions on here, too. Interestingly enough, and we'll talk about this game next week, Federation here has the highest rating of any game on the list, but just didn't get enough ratings.
Right.
It also is a 2-hour game.
It is.
So that's a 4.8. And then Inside Job from Cosmos got a 4.3. And
You
then
know
the
what
Guild.
that is?
It's like a 2-player game, I think. Like a looks almost like the 2-player line of Cosmos.
I don't remember seeing that.
I saw the cover.
And then the Guild of Merchant Explorers, Beer and Bread, and Feed the Kraken, which I will get played at some point.
Yeah, we'll need to play that.
Applejack is another Uwe Rosenberg game.
That's 2 Uwe Rosenberg games. So yeah, so that's interesting. Let's move on though. Let's go to The Last of Us. So The Last of Us.
Oh wow, that cover is intense.
This is it's a board game adaptation of a video game that's very popular. I don't know a whole lot about the video game. It's made by the folks from Themeborn, the board game, which is the UK studio behind Escape the Dark series, which many people enjoy that series.
Escape the Dark Sector.
I am not in that group. In fact, I think the Escape the Dark series is one of my least favorite games I've ever played. I really hate it. I hate the artwork. I hate everything about it. This, I don't like the cover. I don't like the way the board. I mean, obviously, I don't think everything's in black and white. I'm assuming.
I think everything is in black
think
and
it
white.
is.
I think that's the thing.
point.
That's what Escape the Dark does, right? That's
Yeah.
what they always do.
Right. I think
Is The Last of Us, is that video game in black and white?
No. not at all.
It's almost photorealistic. I mean, it's I think Naughty Dog Studios. It's really highly acclaimed. I haven't played it, but I think it's mostly story driven.
End of the world scenario.
Right.
The people basically surviving this zombie-esque sort of epidemic, or people are growing these mushrooms in their head and they become zombies. That top one there with a weird mushroom-headed person looks like one of their games.
Oh
Tom.
my word, yes.
The one at the bottom only looks that way because it's all black and white, but the cover looks to be pretty basically inspired by the video game. So I'm confused. Are we looking at 2 games here?
No, so here's the thing. I mean, this is going to crowdfunding, I believe. So who knows if either of these are final? You know what I mean? This could just be placeholder.
Yeah, it's going. When is it on Kickstarter right now? I know it's going soon.
It'll probably do very well. I know this game carries a lot of weight.
It does.
It's going to Kickstarter November 8th.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's likely
geez.
to do well.
Okay, yeah, I think it'll do very well.
All right. Okay, and finally, yesterday, Stonemaier announced you can pre-order the Wings. Well, we knew this was coming. It's not a surprise, but
No.
the Wingspan Nesting Box, in an attempt to have the biggest box on the market. The contest is fierce. I fully expect in 4 or 5 years there'll be a box as big as Tom Vassal,
Well,
which would be a humongous box.
I get it.
I'm saying it before you can. I gotta beat him.
Stop talking about reading so fast.
keep eating that kale and it won't be that big of a box.
But okay, so this you could pre-order it yesterday, and if you did, you also got the newest expansion,
The
Asian expansion inside the box, and it comes with a whole bunch of. Is it game trays?
I don't
think it's game
so,
trays, but
no.
it's like game tray stuff.
Okay.
This is right on the heels of the viticulture box. He did the exact same thing.
Oh, that's right. That wine crate thing.
You had the wine crate, and it came with the Viticulture World expansion inside. Sorry, I've got a frog in my throat. So it did the exact same thing here. Now, the price difference is pretty significant between the wine crate and this, I think.
This is
$100.
$100. Now, before you get too caught up in that, I'm paying $100 for a box. No, you get that expansion in it, which goes for around $40. So you're only paying $60 for a box.
Plus shipping.
Plus shipping. Also, the pre-order sold out like instantly.
Almost
To the point where I saw many people yelling that by the time they get off work, they could not get the game.
And this
now, you'll still be able to get it. You
Yes.
just won't be able to get it, I think, with the expansion in it.
It probably will not. I think it's the first print run comes with the expansion.
Oh, someone in the chat says it sold out 6 hours, 5 to 6 months for the next printing.
Yeah.
The good news is this, folks. You don't need this box
You don't.
to enjoy Wingspan.
I don't know about that. Okay. Hold on.
No, but I mean, the expansion should be out very soon, and that you can play.
Yeah,
I haven't decided I'm getting the box yet. That's a lot of money for a box.
I looked at it yesterday, early on when it was announced, and I was like, I just could not bring myself to do it. I don't know. I have the big Scythe box, right? I've got the big Everdell box.
Okay.
I'm kind of like, where am I going to put all of these things?
I'll tell
know?
you what, so far...
I also have the big viticulture box.
I'm tempted by a lot of board gaming stuff. Mm-hmm. I have yet to buy a box for my other boxes. I don't have any of them.
Well, Everdell I did, because then you're taking like 6 boxes to one. That to me made sense, even though it's a
You
gigantic
were technically
box.
getting expansions.
Yes.
You were
Yes.
technically getting expansions.
Right.
And the box was part of that
Was part of
shebang.
it. I
But
got 2 expansions there. Yeah.
the whole buying a box to keep my other boxes, I get it. It looks cute and cool, and it's all in one place. And I am a big fan of one game being in one box, so I understand the drive.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
are you a big fan of that when the box is that big?
At some point, it's too much. I gotta, like, go to the gym just to play some board games, but it's $60. That's a board game, and I'm buying just the garb for the board game here.
Right.
That's a little much. At some point, it's just a box.
Also, I feel like these storage systems, because it's more than that, it's also a storage system, really only are worth it if they do aid the setup and teardown time. And
A lot,
some
right.
do better than others on that. I can't speak for the nesting box. I have no idea. But some of those actually do, like, significantly.
Recently, the
Speed
Castle
up.
Mad King Ludwig was amazing. I just open it up and everything's there. I've heard also Anachrony is very similar to
Anachrony's
that
good like
regard.
that, yeah.
But then Suburbia was a mess to open
Yeah.
up that box. The first game to do this that I can think of was the Sentinels of the Multiverse. Remember that giant black
Oh my gosh,
thing?
yeah, that's right.
Which is not even as big as these Wingspan and Everdell boxes,
Yeah, yeah.
but nobody ever pulled it off our shelf.
Right. It's intimidating.
Like, I don't know if I want this in a Dice Tower library. I don't think I'm putting the Everdell one in Dice Tower library. I mean, there comes a point where I'm like, there's one shelf with 5 games on it. Come on.
Yeah, and it becomes the question of, if you just want to play that, let's use Everdell as an example, since you're kind of wrestling with whether you put it in there or not. If you want to play base game Everdell, you just want to play Everdell, and you see this gigantic box and you open it and you've got 17 trays in there, you're probably going to be like, you know what? I don't want to have to sift through this and
I
figure
agree.
it out.
I wouldn't.
You know,
For a
my
game I
personal
don't know, I
collection,
wouldn't.
Even the
It's
Queen
different.
big boxes, which are not as
Yeah.
big as these,
Yeah.
give me that option. I open it up and I'm like, don't need this, don't need this, don't need. You're like taking everything out.
no.
And eventually you're like, here's the base game. That's why, at least with the Castle Mad King Ludwig, which I like so much, was I sat there and said, I'm using 90% of the stuff in this
Yeah.
box. It's not that hard to
Right.
incorporate. We're in.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
hey, in the comments, everyone is like raving that they got the box.
Yeah.
I get it. So,
And if you
this
got
one will
it-
do very well.
Be excited about it. That we're not trying to make
Oh,
anyone
absolutely. Yeah.
lose any joy.
No,
Now,
no,
if I
of
ever
course.
see the one I don't like, what happened is what A&G did with that giant smash-up box, and then they're like, ha 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 ha, just kidding. Here's a bigger one.
Right, right, right,
I
yeah.
don't like that.
Yeah.
They did that?
Yeah, there
I
was
guess I missed
the
that.
yes.
Also, if
Okay.
you're going to, and from what I understand, the nesting box does this, it's accounting for any future content too, and that's a really dicey game that you play there. If you're going to give me a complete storage solution, account for
I agree.
future-proof it.
I
You know what
agree.
I mean? And it sounds like they're doing that there.
Yeah,
but
we'll be
I don't
talking
know
about
if they
that
did
next week.
Yeah,
'cause,
that happened to Nearshima Hex. Year of Moloch edition came out
Yeah.
with a base game, so 4 factions, but an insert designed for every faction and a player reference in that nice plastic they
Yeah,
do
yeah.
for every faction.
Yeah.
So that was in there. All you needed to do was, have or get the factions. It was slightly delayed. By the time it came out, it already was outdated because there was already a faction that wouldn't fit in it.
Oh, man.
Like, immediately outdated.
That's
Out
rough.
of the door. That's unfortunate. So
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
big believer in that future-proofing idea.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
gotta be sure.
If you're billing it as a complete storage
So that it's
solution.
so you'd rather one that's future-proof.
100%.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Me
yeah.
too.
All right. Well, and that's the news.
Hey everybody, I'm Joey.
And I'm Alex.
And we're doing a segment called Shelf Storage or Sell.
Yeah, it's a little new one today that we're doing. Yeah.
Yep. And that's where we're going to take a game not necessarily off the press, but off the shelf.
Yeah, slightly older game.
Right. And we're going to see if it's worth keeping in our collection or not.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest thing that gamers go through, is culling their collection.
It's a hard thing to do, I understand, when you have to get rid of a board game to make room for something else, but something we have to do. So we're going to try and do this together.
You all kind of want to cult of the new,
Yes.
but you don't ever get rid of things.
No, never.
Yep.
Never.
So we're going to grab some hard culls here. But first off, this is a game I've been thinking about for a while.
Yes.
It used to be in like our top games ever.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And it's hard to have this conversation.
I know.
Fury of Dracula.
Yeah, it's such a great game. I love the hidden movement of this game. Amazing. I also really like the theme too. So both those things are so great. But then a new game came along.
Yes, and we found ourselves playing mind management a lot more than we thought we would.
Yes.
And mind management does pretty much everything this one does in 60 minutes.
Oh, it's so quick. Because this game plays like 120 to 180 minutes. So it's a longer game. Mind management's so much quicker.
And a lot of times with Fury, though, it'll miss whenever you find him too quickly or it takes too long. It can get too long. It can go too short.
Yeah.
There are so many things that
There's
can go...
not a sweet spot there sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
There's so many things that can go wrong with Fury.
Yes.
But we played it again.
Yeah.
And as many things as there are that can go wrong with Fury, when it clicks...
It clicks.
It clicks.
Oh,
it's
such
almost
a great game.
It's almost unrivaled. I mean,
yeah.
mind management has that great feel. It's going to hit the table more. But when you have that epic night,
Oh, yeah.
Fury, and then it clicks, everybody's ready. You're all hunting
there.
for Dracula. And the combat, I'm not crazy about, but it's fine.
Yeah.
It then meshes in this system, and it's just...
It works. Also, I love that theme of Dracula a lot better than the mind management theme, too.
Right, I do too.
Yeah, particularly this time of year. But I do like this game all year.
I do too. So it's one of those that it was on the chopping block.
It was.
Played it again, but
It's
for me, Dracula lives.
I think it's going to stay.
I think it's a shelf.
It's definitely a shelf.
Back on the shelf. So that
was, not very helpful. We haven't got rid of one, but maybe next time.
We may get rid of something.
We're going to have to.
We really have to. So, okay, shelf storage or sell. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Woo! Da-na-na-na-na-na. It's
Foreshadowing, Tom.
That's right. Today is our top 3 spy movies.
What's a spy movie?
What does that
I
mean?
looked it up online. If it said spy movie, I accepted it.
Yes.
I have one that I wonder if I'm going to get a little bit of grief on.
I'm gonna get a ton
as far
of
as
grief
it
on all
being
3
a
of my
spy movie. The other 2 are spy movies. There's no question.
Yeah.
One of them it's my middle pick here. I don't know. It's not the person who is the protagonist is not a spy per se.
Well, why don't you wait till you get there to
Sus.
argue
I
about
will.
it?
I'm just saying, but the spy thing is an interesting
I think you're a spy. How about that?
denomination.
I'll tell you this: my movies are not going to be considered world-class movies. There's like some very classy spy movies,
Sure,
okay.
like Tinker
Maltese
Tailor,
Falcon.
Sailor Spy,
Sailor
things
Spy.
like that.
Sailor
I don't like realistic spies.
Okay.
I like cool spies. That's the kind of movie I like watching.
Cool spies.
Okay, like
All right.
Spy Kids.
Like
Michael
young
said,
children
Spy
spies.
Kids.
Oh man, I was leading into that. Come on, dude. But not Spy Kids 3.
Spy Kids 3.
The
3D.
Return of
3D.
Gru.
I think it was in 3D.
There was a 3D Spy Kids movie, and
That
it's
was what it's called,
exactly
yeah.
what you think it was.
Yep. It was no Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
I was just going to go to
Much better.
I'm taking all. I said it yesterday, though.
He did. He said both of those things.
Did you see the sequel to Shark Boy and Lava Girl?
Oh.
Where they're adults and their kids get never mind.
Oh, was that the one with Antonio Banderas and was he the father?
Oh, he
I
was.
may have seen
So,
it.
right? I think so.
It's a Robert Rodriguez movie.
Yeah, they all are.
They all
yeah.
are, yeah.
How do you watch this? I mean, I am forced to. I have children. Why are you watching it?
Tom, I'm not saying I even watched it. I retain information that has no practical purpose, but I cannot remember my phone number, my address, my name. And it's a bad
It is
situation.
a sad existence.
All right, what's your favorite spy? Third favorite.
My third favorite is the one that I think this is legitimately a spy movie, even though it is a spoof
not gonna give you any
of spy
garbage.
movies. My number
Okay.
3 is Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery.
The third one.
The first one.
No, we'll remember now.
Yeah, the first one is Austin Powers. And here's the thing. Yes, it is a spoof, but it is a spoof that incorporates the spy, tropes. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And I think it does it in a kind of a loving way. I mean, this is not done to make fun of necessarily spy movies. It does do that a little bit, but
A little bit where he says, I'm going to leave you guys to die off screen, and the son's like, just shoot him in the head!
right. But this wasn't like,
it does,
sometimes these kind of parody movies are like, hey, let's just come up with some type of a genre that we can riff off of. This is really a spy movie that's done, in a Mike Myers style. And so
Yeah, when this came out, it was the normal spoofs you would get were so broad.
Yes.
They would spoof the last 8 months of film.
Right,
Like
exactly.
literally
like
anything.
scary movie type
Yeah,
things.
like they were just so incredibly broad.
Right.
And I feel like Austin Powers was so laser focused
Yes.
on not just spy movies, but the British
a specific
type of spy
Yeah.
movies with the gadgets and the
Right.
main bad guy who was that sort of,
Well,
over
basically
the top
James
evil.
Bond. I mean,
basically.
Yeah, but
a particular time period too.
right.
Yeah,
it was very targeted.
I watched the 3 movies recently. I don't know why I was going through with 3. And when I first saw Austin Powers, I hated it. Hated everything about it. I have enjoyed it on a rewatching. Now, the second and third, I do not like.
They're not as good.
They lean too much into some of the stuff I didn't like. But there's so many scenes from the first one that are classics. Turning the car, the little golf cart around. Every time that happens, I'm just amused by that part. The part where, like he says, the Seth Green versus Dr. Evil.
Yeah.
They went way too much of that in the second movie.
They did, yeah.
But in the first movie, just that, like, why are you being such a moron to his dad all the time?
Yeah. No, the first one is a classic for a reason, and I think that one holds up. The other two are, not.
The other two also recycled a lot of jokes from the first because they hit, and I get that. But you got to have an
But
easy
they would run
touch
that
with
joke
that.
into the ground. Like what you're saying, be quiet to his son. And that went on for like 4 minutes. I mean, it's funny for 2 minutes, I
Maybe
thought.
one.
Yeah. Mike Myers is not afraid to run a joke into the ground. That's kind of what he does.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, well, my number 3 is also a funny film, and this is one that I've never seen the TV show. I believe it's based on the TV show.
Oh, okay. I
Get
thought you were going
Smart?
to say something different.
Get Smart.
I thought you were going to say Top Secret. Okay.
Top Secret's a great movie.
Yeah, that's good. No, Get Smart is I figured it would be really dumb, and I think it's now, watching it now, shows you that Steve Carell does tend to repeat himself. This was earlier on, so a lot of his usual gags were fresher.
That's Anne Hathaway and him, right?
Anne Hathaway, The Rock is in it.
Rock.
But I think the movie holds up. I think it's a really funny bit. Now, again, I'm bringing nothing to the table here. I've never seen the show, the TV show.
I used to watch Get Smart as a kid.
You were there for the premiere.
Reruns. I used to love the show, so I haven't seen the movie. I think because I watched the show so much, I didn't watch the movie.
I think the movie's good. I think it holds
It
up.
takes some of the gags from the show, but it's also it's you could not know anything about it. And It's fine. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's kind of how I went into it, and I thought it was pretty good. Steve Carell, you have to kind of like his humor again, but the cast is really good. The movie bounds along at a nice clip. The whole thing is just silly and fun, and it hits a nice balance between real spoofy and not dumb. And it kind of oscillates between those two things smartly, I thought. No pun intended. So yeah, I like it. Get Smart is good. It's my
Missed
number
it
3.
by that much.
My number 3, one of my favorite genres is old people are just as good as young people type things.
Here we go. I know what this is.
What do you think?
Oh, I think I know what this is.
Red.
Yeah,
It is red.
Yeah.
Wow, nice. The second one is a pretty far down after the first one. I still like the second one, but the first one is really good. I mean, they got Bruce Willis is the main. Bruce Willis.
What's her name?
She is amazing in that movie.
Right.
Helen Mirren.
Helen Mirren.
Yeah, she's my favorite. Actually, she's my favorite part of that whole movie.
Yeah, she's great.
Because she's so classy, but also she'll kill you.
It's great.
I don't know why I like that. I just there's something about.
So do you like The Expendables too? It's not a spy movie, but it's that same idea of old people.
Expendables is sort of.
Expendables is
for a
such a.
It's almost for a different crowd that never would have liked the classy spy movie in the first place. They was the people who were into the like Commando and Rambo.
I think what the Expendables is the movie you watch and you're like, man, they don't make movies like they used to. And you watch, you're like, yeah, this is what I want. Especially the third one when they bring in the young crowd,
Jason
and
Statham
then they all get captured immediately, and you're like, okay, these old guys need to go rescue them.
Right. Okay.
But
There's so much, like, you just went way over the top with some of those expendable movies, though.
Yeah, they do.
It's like the CGI blood in that movie is the whole budget. You know what I mean? It's insane.
Anyway, I like red, so that's my
Yeah,
number three.
sorry, I didn't mean
Stands
to take you
for
off.
retired, extremely dangerous, I think.
And it's the same old thing always, right? It's like these guys are old, they might be dangerous, we should kill them. And then they're like, nah, fool.
Yeah, it's like, no.
That's always the way it is.
You can always bet on red, you know. What is it? What do we got?
Number 2, right?
Number
John
2.
Malkovich
John
was in that
Malkovich,
movie.
yes,
And Morgan
that's
Freeman, right?
Yep.
Morgan Freeman's in
Not
that?
Morgan Freeman.
No, Samuel L. Jackson?
No, he's not in that either.
I'll just look it up real
Look
quick.
it up.
John Malkovich is definitely like burnt out, like he's toasted in the head, and he's really funny in that movie. Actually, in red. I think it's just them
Morgan
three.
Freeman.
It is
Morgan Freeman's in that too.
Wow.
I forget
Yes.
it was in that.
Oh man, you guys are making me doubt myself.
No, you might be getting old.
But I'll kill you.
All right, so my number 2, I felt like if I didn't put a James Bond movie in here, it's because I was trying to be difficult. Because I like James Bond movies, right?
James Bond.
So, and
I did not,
arguably
as
the
a heads
most
up.
famous spy in films.
Okay, right.
Arguably.
Okay, well let's try to guess which James Bond it would be.
Okay.
Because there's a lot.
There is a lot, and I will tell you that other than maybe the one-offs, you know, like the George Lazenby or whatever, I have an appreciation for all of the Bonds, actually. There's none of the Bonds
Don't
that
tell us, okay?
Yeah.
We want
Yeah,
I mean, give us some clues, but don't quite
Okay,
tell us.
so most of the time, your favorite James Bond
is the one you grew
is
up
the one
with.
you grew up on.
Right.
And that's true for me.
So that
Okay.
would be Roger Moore.
That's correct.
So then your favorite Roger Moore, I think Moonraker's too silly for you.
I love Moonraker, but it's not the one I chose.
From Russia with Love.
No.
Wait, that's not even.
That's not
Sorry,
him.
The Spy Who Loved Me. I mean.
My number 2 is The Spy Who Loved Me.
Yes.
Yeah,
That is also because it introduces.
Jaws.
Well, we were talking before we did spy
Okay.
movies. I was going to do my favorite henchman. Jaws is on that list.
Jaws is
No, you guys
fantastic.
definitely know James Bond more
Yeah,
than I do.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
Pierce Brosnan for me, and after
Right,
that.
and that's
so.
like because that's what you grew up with, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I have an appreciation. I think everyone wanted Pierce Brosnan to be Bond, and he eventually was, and he did a great job. Even Timothy Dalton was okay, although a little bit boring. Daniel Craig's been a fantastic Bond.
Yes.
So I have an appreciation for all of them. You know, Sean Connery is of its time, you know,
Sure,
and it probably deserves to be left in that time, but he was also a great Bond in his own way. So, but The Spy Who Loved Me, I think, is maybe the best film-wise of the
I guess
Roger
if you were
Moore
going to
movies.
show somebody a
Yeah.
Roger Moore movie, like Moonraker's a direct sequel almost, and it's too silly.
It definitely goes far
I
on the
like it, but
silliness.
it's really silly because they were like, Star Wars made money. We should copy them.
Exactly. Let's put Jaws and
okay.
Bond in space. That's literally what it is.
It really is.
You know,
Okay.
let's fight in a zero gravity type
But
of a
Jaws
thing.
was such a cool henchman.
Oh, he's great.
Like you thought, you can't stop this guy. He like
Yeah.
had like metal teeth.
and he was legitimately a huge person in real life, and it was just he was a great henchman. A sense that movie had a nice balance of a real sense of danger, which you want in most spy movies. Yet they did, you know, have some comic relief, which Moore was great at. A lot of the great gadgets, because I think also the gadgets in the Moore films were the best of the Bond gadgets.
I gotta
I
watch that
disagree.
one.
I
I've
think,
never.
think?
I like the ones from Pierce Brosnan.
Oh
Do you?
gosh, no, those
Yeah.
movies have not held up.
Yeah.
Tom.
Well, no, but I don't know. I like him driving the car from the back seat. That's always one of my
What about
favorite
the car
scenes.
that goes invisible and the guy with diamonds encrusted in his
Take
face?
that movie out, okay?
Oh,
I don't like that
gosh.
movie. All right.
No, you know what? I've never seen that one. I think I will.
Yeah, it's a good
Those
one.
are always playing somewhere.
For sure,
They're
for
always
sure.
streaming somewhere.
That's good though that you guessed it though, Tom. That's good.
All right, so
That's actually my
mine-
favorite Bond
Is it?
movie.
Okay.
Oh, you guessed this one too, Tom.
You said this one was the one that you're worried might not be
This
a
is the
spy
one I'm
movie.
worried because technically the protagonist is not a spy. They are a CIA assassin. Okay? But it's real spy intrigue kind of.
You don't think CIA is full of spies?
Yeah,
I feel
but
like
this
a CIA.
person isn't a spy. They're an assassin, okay?
Okay.
They also do not remember they are an assassin.
The Bourne Identity or the
No,
Bourne
it's not.
Ultimatum. No,
No, it's not. I don't think it's CIA for him, is it?
Tenet.
I can't.
It's not Tenet, no.
Okay,
It's
okay.
older. You guys are thinking too new. This came out in like '95.
Are you talking about the Bill Murray movie? No, no, no.
Caddyshack.
No, The Man Who Knew Too Little.
No, I'm not. No.
Oh, I might have picked that one. That's a great, because he's a spy, doesn't know it
Doesn't
type
know
thing.
it.
But
Yeah, so no, this one is a movie I think that really holds up well. It's a movie called The Long Kiss Goodnight.
I've never seen it.
Nah, no
Oh,
idea.
wow. Okay, The Long Kiss Goodnight has Gina Davis in it. She's the protagonist.
I'm in.
And Samuel L. Jackson. She's a housewife
Oh, wait.
with a family.
I've seen it.
Oh, yeah, I have seen this one. Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
I forgot the name
Nobody
of the movie.
remembers what it's
Right.
That's where
called.
she's chopping the vegetables like a maniac, and her husband's sitting there
she's
going, "What are you
wow.
doing?"
She's like, I don't know. She has memory loss.
Right,
She
right.
doesn't remember who she used to be. Well, it turns out she used to be a CIA assassin.
Isn't Ben Affleck the bad guy in that one?
I don't think so. This was pre-Ben Affleck even being in.
I don't remember who the bad guy was in that. I'm looking it
so
up.
No, this
That
is
was
it
their
called?
first movie. Was
The Long
Good
Kiss
Will
Goodnight?
Hunting,
So
yeah.
this is old. This is older than that, Tom. The Long Kiss Goodnight. Yeah. So again, it's her and Samuel L. Jackson. Great action in this movie. Really holds up well. It has that great sort of her discovering who she is, changing her personality, seeking vengeance on those that did her wrong. All the usual tropes of these kinds of movies.
Oh, it's Craig Burko.
That guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Who I never remember his name, but he's great.
Craig
Whatever he's in.
Burko.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing is a fantastic, action-y, fun, characterized movie. So, yeah, I like that one a lot. The Long Kiss Goodnight. I think it's a bit of an underrated movie. I don't think it gets a
Yeah.
lot of attention.
I think the title, believe it or not, is because you say that title and I'm like, what? And then you describe it, I'm like, oh, that
It actually
movie.
sounds like a very serious movie, and this is more. It's more action.
it is action-y, yeah.
But there's some really great scenes, and I love the whole. Oh, you think this person's ordinary, but they're really a spy.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
I'm
been
a
a
sucker
few
for
movies
that.
like
Mr. and
that.
Mrs. Smith was another one, right?
Yeah,
That was the-
Nobody.
I just rewatched that. Not worth this
Not
list.
worth it. No, I didn't put it on my
Nobody
list.
just did it not too long ago. I
No,
mean,
that's
that was
right.
brand
Oh
new.
my gosh, that was a good movie.
And then the my
Odenkirk.
favorite is probably the
Salt is one I considered. I really like Salt.
Yeah.
All right.
Here we go.
My number 2. So you picked. Now it's your guys' turn to pick. I'm going to go with the other big spy genre, Mission Impossible.
Right.
Okay.
So which one? I've actually told you guys this before. So
I don't know. My favorite is 3. Mission Impossible 3.
That's the That's the. I'm trying to think of the director of that one.
That's
John Woo.
John Woo.
No,
No,
it's
that's
2.
2.
I'm just kidding.
That's 2.
2 is generally considered to be the worst.
Yeah.
Although they say that cliff climbing scene is like, if you take that out of the movie, that's really well done.
I don't know. I don't know John Woo now. Mission Impossible 3 has Philip Seymour Hoffman as the bad guy.
That's right.
It has that great, it's just good sequence after good sequence. The plane sequence, blowing out the bridge sequence, and the, him taking out the drone sequence. Followed by him driving to the big hospital chase sequence. It's like, it just never stops. It's
yeah.
unrelenting. After that, they kind of became one long movie.
I agree.
And that's cool. That's
Yeah.
very good. They're a little more connected now, right?
Right.
Everything from, Ghost Protocol to the new Fallout one or whatever. But 3, for me, I thought was fantastic. So I don't know. It's either 3 or
Or the-
1
or the first one.
all the other ones together.
1 is my second favorite.
Okay.
Actually, no, my favorite is 4. Because Ghost Protocol sets some stuff up for the future, but it's good on its own. It has my favorite sequence with the tower.
Okay.
I really like
okay.
that.
Yeah.
And I really like Jeremy Renner's character when he came into that.
Yeah.
He felt like it was an interesting come into the movie. You weren't sure if he's good or bad.
Yeah.
Because almost always when I see a guy over if a guy shows up in Mission Impossible working for the CIA, I assume they're bad.
Right.
Just straight off the board.
Right,
or
right.
a really dumb jerk who's trying to kill Tom Cruise again. Or
Yes,
wipe him out or
right,
whatever.
right.
And even the newest movie looks like they're doing that again.
Yeah, for the most
But
part.
I really liked all that the sequences. I like the final thing with the water and all that. And I really liked the addition of the new characters. Simon Pegg
Yeah.
fit
Yes.
in that like a glove.
did.
He
He
was
really
really
did.
good, and it was just him and Jeremy Renner. I really liked that movie a lot.
That is.
Is that the one that at the beginning he escapes from a prison?
Yes.
These all
They
mesh
do
in
blend,
together.
unfortunately.
He was in the. It's also one where he went to the Kremlin, which I thought was a cool sequence.
Yeah.
Where he just basically walks right into the Kremlin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the one where he escapes from a prison at the beginning. If that's the one I'm thinking of, that one's directed by Brad Bird.
Oh, the Incredibles guy.
Who
That's
did
right.
The Incredibles?
That's right.
Yeah.
Ooh, I didn't even consider Incredibles for a
He's,
spy movie. That's a good choice.
That would have been a really
That's
good
a superhero
it's
movie. That's
It's no, it is definitely. It starts as superhero, but that island and that whole sequence at the end is total spy.
It is very
It is.
spy,
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
All right, go ahead. What do you got?
All
for
right.
Number one.
My number one is a little bit. I didn't even think about it when I chose this. This is somebody. This is a film with an actor that is best known as playing a spy in a completely different series of films. But he's not playing that character in this movie.
Well, can you tell us that
it-
series of films?
Is it Night and Day?
It's the James Bond series of films. So it's one of the James Bond actors in a completely different movie.
Oh.
Well, then the best one who's gone outside is what's the James Bond that you said was not as good as the other ones?
Timothy Dalton?
Timothy Dalton is the best outside James Bond, I think. He's a
As an
fantastic actor.
Yeah.
He makes a great bad guy, by the way.
I have to think of like Taylor of Panama or something, like a Pierce Brosnan type thing.
It's a movie that's very famous. You're going to know it, but you're probably just not thinking it. It's a Sean Connery movie.
Is it the one with Catherine Zeta-Jones?
Zardoz.
The Hunt for Red October.
That is a spy movie.
It's absolutely
okay, fair
a spy
enough.
movie, yeah.
Jack Ryan.
Yeah, it's a Jack Ryan movie before Jack Ryan was.
right.
Yeah, so the Hunt for Red October is my number one. It's look, you got to address the elephant in the room, which is the heavy brogue accent for someone who's playing, someone from a completely different country.
Yeah, he nailed it.
Sean Connery always plays Sean Connery, but it's a great movie. It's a really good movie. It has that tension that you're looking for. I mean, obviously, you've got the claustrophobic feeling of being within a submarine.
Right.
But this whole idea of is he or isn't he? Is he working for the Americans or against the Americans? And you don't really know. And
You know, if you read the book, which is
Sure.
made the whole movie a lot less stressful.
sure,
Like, I know what's going to happen.
I had not read the book first, so I went into it without knowing.
But that is a good movie.
Yeah, I think it's a movie that still holds up.
Huh, yeah.
Hunt for Red October. And I didn't even think about the fact that, this is James Bond not playing James Bond in this movie. You know what I mean?
And he was done being James Bond at
I
that
think
point,
that was
wasn't he?
after Never
Yeah.
Say Never Again, which remember he did that Bond movie that
Came
was...
back for one, right? And then went away again.
Yeah.
All right, well, my number one is very much a spy movie, but it has a lot of the action that The Long Kiss Goodnight has in it. It's set in the 80s, which I think is ripe for Cold War suspense and spies and that sort of thing. It's a fairly modern movie. I think it's a fantastic action movie if you just like action as well.
Okay.
It has a female protagonist as well.
Saul?
It's not, but it's very similar in style.
Is it? Oh, shoot. What's the name of that movie?
It's based on a comic, which I didn't know. Never heard of the comic before the movie. I mean, and I haven't pursued the comic.
That I'm not...
It's called Atomic Blonde.
I've not seen that
is
one. I
with
saw the trailer for it.
Is that Charlize Theron?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Atomic Blonde is set in the 80s. It's set in Berlin mostly. It takes place in Berlin. Spies, double agents, triple agents, who's betraying who's backstabbing where, misleading things, who can you trust? And a lot of great action on top of that, because this is from the people who put out the John Wick movies.
Okay.
So it's got really proven, solid, long take action that is clearly well done, well choreographed.
Right.
No shaky cam and quick cutaways and none of that stuff. So the movie is just excellent. It's got a great cast. Charlize Theron, like you said, and then James McAvoy is in it, who's always good, Great cast of characters around them.
Never saw this movie, yeah.
Really, really good. If you haven't seen this and you like that style, the Bourne Ultimatum kind of, movies, this is a really good one. With way more story than I suspected it would have when I first heard John Wick, but with a female lead.
If it's based off of a graphic novel, that would make sense.
That probably is what it is, right? But I expected it to be, a lot of action.
Well, the trailer made it look like it was all action.
Yeah, there's a lot of story in it, too. Actually.
Okay.
So, fantastic movie.
Ish. I mean, it takes itself seriously, as many movies in the 90s did. There's more over-the-top scenes in this movie than almost any other. the ending sequence doesn't take that far from here, actually, where we are.
Okay.
Oh, I know what this is. Yes.
Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
True
yes.
Lies.
True Lies.
Okay.
I
Why?
So there's one scene in True Lies I do not like.
Yeah, I'll get some.
There's one scene in True Lies I don't like. I don't like the very middle scene where I think he's a little too unkind to his wife.
Okay.
At
sure,
one point.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
Right.
But Bill Paxton plays one of my favorite characters he's ever played in my life in that
Yes.
movie. His sidekick, Tom Arnold, who is not known for being like an actor,
Yeah.
he plays the second fiddle pretty well. The bad guy's definitely a caricature and a half.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's very
for sure.
stereotypical for the time, especially.
And the stupidity of jumping a horse from building to building, from someone riding a missile to
This is a James Cameron movie, right?
was
It
it
is the
James Cameron?
James Cameron movie.
And,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
and that
yes.
it's like okay, that's
Like
makes
my two
sense,
favorite
you know?
Schwarzenegger movies that are ridiculous are Eraser and True Lies. They're both.
No Total
just-
Recall, no Running Man.
I don't consider those as those are like I don't know how to explain. Those are
Yeah,
like sci-fi
that's
stories.
true,
Yeah.
The True Lies and Eraser are like they're modern, but they're also just over the top stupidity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not
remember-
quite a spoof.
Yeah.
But
I think
also
Eraser is a considerably worse movie than True Lies, you know, as far as craftsmanship goes. But you're right that those two kind of go together in my head, too, where he's like, "Rrr," and he can do
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
You
like,
know what I mean?
like she thinks he's a mild mannered guy. And I'm like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right.
I've seen him.
Yeah,
No.
Not
That's
so
like
much.
it's a very hard, but she plays her part very well.
Very well, yeah.
And I like it the whole way through.
Yeah.
It's funny, and I don't know.
No,
I enjoy it a lot.
It's hard for movies to have shifting tone, you know, to be comedic sometimes, to be action. That movie does a very good job of mixing tones where
Yeah.
the funny parts are legitimately funny, but they also feel like you're watching the same movie as the action parts. And
Yeah.
it's a good. I haven't thought of that in a long time.
True Lies is a good movie.
I just
haven't
just
seen that in
rewatched
ages.
it lately, and I'm just amused
Yeah.
by
That holds up, I bet.
like the one
Yeah.
sequence. I think my favorite sequence is where she has the machine gun and is trying to shoot the bad guys and then drops it. And as it's bouncing down the steps, it's killing everyone
Right.
except for Arnold Schwarzenegger
Right.
somehow.
Of course.
Such a
No.
dumb scene, and I.
He's can't be killed.
Because he's so small, the bullet's missing.
Anyway, those are our top 3 spy movies. Let's keep going so Mike can get a drink.
So, welcome back to From Plate to Table. Still a great name, I'm stealing it. This is a segment on Board Game Smorgasbord all about 3D printing as it relates to the hobby, both directly and tangentially. Now, today we're talking about a tangential relation to the hobby. Last week we talked about an insert and inserts for your board games. The first week we talked about what's even possible. I also mentioned that the Dice Tower merch store is open in this segment typically because I'm running the merch store and I'll be directly responsible. So call me, shoot me a message if you have questions about it. But today we're taking a look at a tangential related part of board game hobby. Board game hobby. And this would be conventions and most importantly, cosplaying and things in conventions. I had never been to conventions before until last year's Gen Con 2021. And I was blown away because I would see stuff online, but then I see it in person. I go, wow, that's really cool. And what's funny is I had been making cosplay pieces for people for 3 years now. Now these would be helmets and headsets and things like that. And the problem is I love resin printing, as we're going to get into further in the next few weeks. I think it's so much cleaner. It's more smooth. The prints just look like glass. They're amazing, right? But the downside is they don't have a huge print volume typically. Now I have a very large printer out there, but it can't do a full-size helmet. I would have to slice it in 2 pieces and glue it together and sand it and all that. But what I love though is FDM printers build size. I have a 300 by 300 by build size on the machines I run. And you can do some amazing stuff, full-blown helmets. Now, one of my favorite things to print is the WandaVision thing I talked about last week. Now, what's cool is that printer can print fairly quickly and fairly large. The downside is because it's layers of plastic, you're going to see layer lines. You say, well, but they're very, very small. But even still, when you paint them, those layer lines show up pretty severely. So I want to give you a quick tip on how to smooth out your prints. Now, you could sand down the PLA plastic itself. It's a lot of work, and then you put filler primer on, and you sand that down, and you put filler primer on. It's tedious. I found the best tip for printing or smoothing your prints is to use resin for 3D printing, even if you don't have a printer. So I want to show you some smoothness, but I wanted to give you the techniques here. You'll take the resin, put it into a cup, not a plastic cup because it will melt through eventually, put it into a mug or something like that that you're not going to use. Not the Dice Tower merch ones. That would be rude. Unless you have 2. And some talcum powder, baby powder. Put that in there to make a paste, and then you're going to take a paintbrush and paint it over your prints. Now, the downside of this is you're going to need UV light, but most of the time you can just walk outside and use it, and it starts to cure pretty instantly. A couple tips here: wear gloves, be smart about it, wear gloves, and have isopropyl alcohol there. 90% is best. You can use 70%, some mean green if you want as well. Have the isopropyl alcohol there, so once you've smoothed it over, let it sit in the sun for 10, 15, 20 minutes, or if you have a nice UV lamp, you can do that too. Let it cure, and then once it's cured, dash it with a little alcohol, make sure it's clean to the touch and all that sort of stuff, and then you can start sanding it. And because you put that layer of resin over there, it fills those gaps already, and those resin is so much easier to smooth. You can have a beautifully smooth print with the 120 grit and 220 grit sandpaper on those WandaVision things that I show in minutes, and it's so fast. If you could literally print it, paint it, take it off the printer, paint it with the resin, sit it in the sun for about 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. If you want to use the alcohol to wash it off, you can. Sometimes it bakes so hard that you don't need to. And then you sand it with 120, sand it with 220, hit it with some spray paint, hit it with some gloss coating, and you're good to go. So that is From Plate to Table today. Make sure to check out the Dice Tower merch store. I'll see you next time.
Today's back talk is a bit of a response that I'd like to make to something Z wrote about. No, this is this is a so we do a lot of reviews on the Dice Tower. The majority of our reviews are positive. They are. You can just look at the numbers. I always realize how many of our reviews are positive whenever we do the weekend review video.
Yeah.
Because I always do them from my least favorite to favorite, and it's like this week was a 2, 3 6s, and then 7, 7, 7, 8, 9, 10, or whatever.
Right.
It goes up. There's a lot of positive reviews. But we also do negative reviews. If we did more negative than positive, I'd probably want to get a different job.
Yeah, maybe.
Because if I didn't like most games, that'd be bad. But we're going to say when we don't like games. Whenever we say we don't like games, people are not happy with that for various reasons, because they do like the game. Mm-hmm. They don't think we gave it a fair review, whatever way. We didn't play it right. We didn't play it enough. We didn't play it with the right number of players. We didn't play it with a good group. We are morons when we played it, whatever it might be.
Groupthink. Yeah, there's
fine. I
lots
accept all that. Here's what I don't accept. I don't accept this concept of you should be nice in a game review, because think about the person whose thing you're reviewing, and oh, poor person, they might lose sales because of that. And there's a couple, and you often when people do this, they jump into that old adage, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Right.
If that's the case, no one on earth is allowed to be a teacher. I'd be like 100, 100.
Yeah.
Just,
A+.
Your writing was amazing. Mm-hmm. That behavior, fantastic.
Right.
Come on now.
Yeah.
That if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, is more about don't gossip about people. Is a better way to do it. When we're talking about other people, or if you also just don't, you shouldn't be a generally negative person, I think. But to correct things, to point out flaws, is not some weird thing you shouldn't do. I don't like that when people throw that adage out there. Critics should say things that aren't nice. But what I'm pushing back on here is that, oh, poor small game designer, we should buy his games, her games, to support them because they're small. But as a reviewer, I firmly believe that our first and foremost person that we care about is the consumer.
Right.
If Z is trundling along down the street, oh, la, 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 la.
That's how I do it.
Definitely how he does it. That's how he walks into work. He does that fast, the speed walking.
Yes.
Come on in.
Speed walker for sure.
And he has $50, and I say, he says, what do you think of that game? I'm like, well, it's pretty good. And I don't think it's good, but I don't want that publisher. So he spends $50 and he goes, I don't really like it. I've done him a disservice. You don't do that with your friends. If you go to a restaurant and you don't like it, and your friend's like, what'd you think? And you're like, it was amazing.
Because you feel bad for the chef.
Right, because I think you should support that restaurant. No, I'd be like, no, I wouldn't go there. It wasn't very good. The service wasn't good. Whatever it was. That's how people are. And when something's good, people say, that's good. But I think this weird, hey, support indie designers. Sure, although, again, you know my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
everyone except Asmodee and Hasbro and Mattel and Ravensburger
Our indie designers.
are
Yeah.
indie designers. They're all indie publishers. They're all small.
Yes.
Yeah, support them. If you like someone, support them. But why would I support them over other people? I'm like, hey, you people, give your money to that person. Why? Because they're asking for it.
Right.
That's insanity to me.
Yeah, you titled this "The Role of a Reviewer," right? I think that was the title we came with, and so I've thought about this quite a bit over the years, and I've said in the past, and I think I'll reiterate it here, that I try to make my role to explain what my tastes in gaming are, what things that I tend to gravitate towards, what things I like and don't like in gaming experiences, and if I've done that well, then people that are watching should be able to say, okay, I align with Mike on this idea. I don't align with Mike on that idea. Sometimes if I give a negative review and if I've done a good job in explaining why I do or don't like a game, because I think that's on me.
Right.
That part is on me. Explaining well why I do or don't like a game. Then those negative reviews might be more valuable to somebody that's like, I don't align with Mike on this. I'm not a shallow gamer. I don't care about the components in a game.
Right.
So they may be like, well, if Mike doesn't like it, I'm more likely to like it. That's not a bad thing to me. So
That's fine.
And that translates to this idea of when we give a negative review, that is a one-to-one correlation to having cost a publisher a sale. I don't subscribe to that. Now, I'm not naive. I understand that if I sit here and give some game a 10 out of 10, and so does Mike, and so does Tom, people will be curious and likely buy that game. We're going to sell a couple of extra ones, maybe more than a couple. But I don't necessarily subscribe to the idea of me saying this is a middling game, there's issues with it, I don't like this, that people automatically should not buy that product, should avoid said game. It only matters if you think you are A, me, and you're not, or B, have exactly the same taste as me. You really should be analyzing why I didn't like it, or why Mike didn't like it, and go from there, like you're saying. This might prompt you to indeed look into that game and seek a copy out and try it yourself. So I agree. The role is to get across what we thought and why we thought that. One of those might negate the other from what you're looking for.
Yeah, I always read, sometimes someone will say, man, I agree with Tom on everything, but not this game, he's wrong. Well, yes, if we agreed about every game on Earth, that'd be really weird.
Right.
It makes sense. I mean, we have tons of overlap between us.
We do.
And then there are games I'm like, I can't believe Mike likes it or doesn't like it.
Right.
And same with you. It just,
of course.
But also, we still manage to live, and talk to each other.
Right.
Even though Z doesn't like some games, and I'm like, well, that's that then. And so, yes, obviously there's some self-preservation here, but I just think that that is one of my least favorite arguments when people are kind of like, think of the poor publisher. In fact, sometimes the publishers will email us and say, think of us. And I get it. If I trash a game, even if I say, here's the things you might like about it, there are some people who slavishly follow what we say.
Right.
That's not on me, though, okay? But they'll say, I'm not going to buy the game for whatever reason. But again, that's our role. And I don't think there's enough of that out there in various things. Like when I'm looking for certain things, like on Kickstarters, I have a difficult time because Kickstarter previews, since they're often paid for and all, they generally are positive. So I don't really know what a critical thought on the game is.
Right.
But whenever I look at a new game, I always read the negative comments and the positive ones. I always look at the top ones and the bottom ones.
Right.
Because I want to know why people love the game, and I want to know why people hated the game, and then I kind of hopefully come to some sort of agreement. They're like, oh, I didn't like that there was dice in this game. I'm like, well, I like dice.
Right.
Maybe I would like the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the test is in the time. There's a test of time thing here. It's like if a reviewer, I'll just put this as a general, if a reviewer has a personal vendetta against a particular publisher,
which definitely happens,
that's gonna bear out over time, right? And then at that point, maybe it's a valid thing to be like, I think you've got something, personally against this publisher, so therefore I'm going to discount anything you say talking about this publisher's games. Otherwise, I think that argument kind of falls apart. Of, think of the publisher. Well, I think as a reviewer, your number one focus has to be on the consumer. That's really who we're talking to more than anybody else. Unless there's a proven example of, personal, vendettas, then I don't really buy into that.
And again, that idea of sort of grading on a scale, on a sliding scale of having a game that doesn't look good, doesn't play that well, is not finalized strongly, but it's from some small indie publisher, even in more indie than some of these other ones, which are very indie. So I should be kinder to it for that reason. I need to, again, grade on a sliding scale here. I think this game is like a 5 out of 10 at best, but it's going to get an 8 because they tried really hard.
Isn't that kind of patronizing to
that's
you know what I mean?
Worse, right? Isn't that worse?
Yeah.
That's like a pat on the head for trying.
Yeah.
No, that does a disservice to me, you, the viewers, that designer. Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I will mention some things I liked about it and everything I didn't. You should, try to salvage what's good, try to make a better product next time, or ignore everything I said if you think I'm full of it. I don't know. It just seems like this isn't a personal attack, I guess, at the end of the day, is the thing to take away. If I'm reviewing a product, I have no idea about 98% of the time who the person behind that game is. Mm-hmm. I'm not attacking you. Mm-hmm. I'm reviewing your thing from my point of view, in my opinion.
Right, and the factors that went into the design of the game, I don't necessarily think I should have to care about. Oh, this was my life's work. I worked on this for 15 years. Okay, that's cool and all, but that shouldn't change the consumer. And this I just feel this way about a lot of things. I shouldn't, like if Z makes a game, I shouldn't like it because he's my friend.
Right.
That would be that'd be foolishness.
Yeah, there's a comment in the that I don't even know if I want to address right now, but I think that behind some of this discussion also is that there's some conspiracy theories that go around out there about relationships that maybe are had between reviewers and publishers. And look, again, I don't know if we even want to go down that road.
Well, very briefly, if you think that, then you're calling me a liar. Mm-hmm. Stop watching my channel. Straight up.
And yeah.
I don't know how much more we need to prove it. When we have trash games from companies that have also paid us to play those same games that we then trashed later. Uh-huh. And then you could say, well, you just did that to prove a point.
No.
You know what? I can't please you. Stop watching my channel.
Right.
If you think I'm lying, don't watch us. Because we don't lie. I hold the integrity of the Dice Tower very strongly to the point where we do all kinds of things. We try not to talk about games before we review them because we try not to influence each other. Right. I said bad things about games of people I really like them in real life.
Right.
And we have lots of sponsors here on the channel. I have given Pandasaurus Games negative reviews. Mm-hmm. They sponsor our show. Yeah. Bezier Games, I've given their stuff negative reviews. They're sponsoring this episode. There are games of theirs I don't like. Again, if you think that, go watch a different channel. And I won't miss you because I don't like being called a liar.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what we think today. Let's close out the show here. Folks, we got a top 10 list that does not involve anyone here at this table coming up later today. Top 10 games a bard would love. Z's going to come in the background with a ukulele. You don't play a ukulele.
I don't play anything, but I'll still try. I'll be really annoying.
That would be really annoying. Anyway, that's at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Eastern Daylight Time, whatever 2 o'clock. We'll see you then, or they'll see you then. Until then, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia.
I'm Mike Alicio.
Have fun gaming.